Where are the lights, man? Okay, that's a bit too bright for Scary Sundays. Let's just tone this down a bit. Let's get into the right mood. Let's just let this load just go. Oh my gosh, this is low is gonna go. I don't know, man. Anyways, welcome to another Scary Sundays. We've taken a very good turn into turning this into a weekly series. Seems like some people enjoy Scary Sundays. Anyways, I know you all saw the thumbnail and you saw the title. The thumbnail isn't really that much remarking. But some people wonder this. Will there be a second chance in everything? And let me tell you, this experience I had a few years ago made me believe there isn't a second chance in this scenario. It's either this or your life stops existing altogether. So without further ado, let's get this episode started. Let's take our time watch. Rewind. The year is 2019, right before the coronavirus started. It was around the month of April. Me and some of my friends, we decided to go bike down the old foresty path. And this time, it's not in the forest that we encountered it. It's at this thing here. So we were biking through the forest. We were talking about places we want to go explore, since we always used to do that. We used to explore all kinds of crazy places. Like, a forest, an old house, an abandoned house. And then I thought of a good place to go explore. Told my friends, I know this place. It's like what do you call it? It's like an overhang, sort of like a bridge under where the water passes through it. So we decided to go walk on this trail while we discussed what we were going to do. Oh, this is a Scary Sunday. If it's your first time here, I do this every Sunday where I tell scary stories. Anyways, we were going through the bridge and we walked under it like there's an archway. And we go in there and I see that there's this guy that's just under the bridge. I mean, I waved to him, he waved back, he didn't seem like much, so me and my friends just kept on going to the trail. And after we walked a bit, we're like, okay, it's getting late, let's head back. So we were all walking back, and it's only like 30 minutes, so I'm expecting the guy to still be there, because he was there for kind of a while, maybe, I don't know, doing something. We go back, and we just looked, and we're like, okay, the guy's gone. That's not... Am I going to oil up by any chance? What does that mean? What does that mean? Can you explain that? Anyways, so we were walking under the bridge and we're like, the guy's gone. Okay, probably he went somewhere. So we're like, okay, that's fine. So then we decided to go home. The next day we're like, okay, let's go back out again. So we go back under the bridge and again we see it. The guy is there. And I waved to him again, and this time he didn't wave back. He just sort of stared at me and gave me this like really creepy vibe. I'm like, okay, maybe it's the guy has something doing here, let's just not bother him, so we kept on going. So then, as you could tell, on the way back, we come here again. The guy is gone. So I'm like, okay, something is technically going on here, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. So to test the theory, I went back there the third time, and I went alone this time. So I walked up to the trail's end, I go under the bridge, and sure enough, the guy was there. But this time, he wasn't looking at me. Picture like a bridge like this, there's a hang here and the walls are here. I'm in the middle, walking down the trail, and he's like right here. So instead of facing me this time, he's facing out the wall. Standing just like this, looking up at the wall. And I was looking at what he's looking at, and I didn't see anything. So I'm like, okay, let me just walk past him. I'm making quite a bit of noise because it's a gravel trail. He didn't react to me being there at all. So I just walked past him. He didn't bat me an eye. He's still looking at the wall. He's not giving me any sort of like attention. I'm not usually a storyteller. I'm a music artist, but I do this on Sundays because it's funny and it's entertaining for some people. So I'm like, okay, let me see if he's here once I come back. So about 30 minutes later, I turned around on the trail, then I walked back, and sure enough, this time, however, he was there. But he wasn't staring at the wall anymore. Now he's facing my direction, but staring straight down at the ground. Sort of like this. Just staring. I can tell he's not moving. He's standing perfectly still. Like, I'll give you guys a demonstration. Pretend he's doing this. Just not paying me any sort of attention at all. And I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. And I sort of made the gesture like I said, hi, can I help you with anything? He doesn't give me any sort of attention. He just went like this. Like he was trying to wave to me, but he was not doing anything strange. So I'm like, okay, maybe this guy is doing something. Let me just leave him alone. So I go back home that day, and the next day I decide to come out here. And this time, it's like pouring rain that I came out here. So I have an umbrella. And I went on the bridge and I looked. I don't see the guy. I'm like, okay, probably he's not here today because it's raining. And then I started to walk on the trail. And then in the distance, through the heavy rain, I can see this like this figure sort of thing off in the distance. He doesn't look like he has an umbrella or anything to protect him from the rain. So I'm like, okay, maybe this guy is walking here with a raincoat on. Maybe he walks this trail too. We just never happen to bump into each other because maybe we just keep on seeing at the end of his walk. So I walk closer and I realize this guy isn't moving farther or closer to me. He's just standing there, like still. And I like had the umbrella. I'm looking. And I'm looking at him like I don't know what's going on. So I'm like, okay, maybe he needs help. So I start making the way, and then I can see him turn around, and now he's looking at me. And he's not too far. He's like a good 100 feet away from me. And I'm still trying to because the rain was coming down hard, so I couldn't see his face expression. So I'm still trying to see what's going on over here. Hold on, I'm reading a comment. This comment's kind of long. I can't understand most of this. Alright. So, I'm looking at him, I'm standing still, and then I see this guy start walking. And he's walking towards me. But not in a normal way. He's sort of limping. Yes, this is a scary story. Hello. So he starts walking, limping towards me, and I'm like, okay, this guy probably needs some help. I'm gonna go help him. So I start picking up my pace, walking towards him, and then I got into like a good 50 feet. I'm like, hello, sir, can I help you? He didn't say anything. He still starts limping towards me. I'm like, can I help you, sir? He still doesn't say anything. But then he gets right up to me and he goes past me. He's behind me now, and I'm like, okay. So I keep on walking the trail. I walk back. I look under the bridge. He's not there. I'm like, okay, this guy probably went home. Maybe he got injured, didn't want to help. He's probably just got home. So I went back home. Next day, came out here. The sun's nice. There's no umbrella. And I go walk under the bridge. And guess what? The guy's there again. But this time was different. He's not staring at me. He's not staring at the ceiling. He's not staring at a wall. He's not staring at the ground. But he was staring right into the river. There's this little stream goes under the bridge. He's staring in it. And I'm looking at what he's looking at. He's got this, I don't know how to describe it. It's this white mass that's in the river. I'm not sure what it is. It's probably some piece of trash someone left behind. And he's just staring at it, very intently. And I sort of called out to him. I said, hi, you okay yesterday? And I started waving at him, and he didn't pay me any attention. So I'm like, okay, this guy's probably got something going on. So let me just ignore him. So I turned and I walked down the trail. And I was like, this is a pretty beautiful day. Let me take a few selfies. So I pulled on my phone, flipped the camera around, and I'm pointing at myself, taking a few selfies. And I look. And as you know, there's a camera up there that can see behind you. And I see that the guy that was staring at the river, the same guy I've been seeing for the past 6 days, is behind me. He's not right behind me. He's a few hundred feet back. He's got his head down. He's got his hands in his pocket. He's got his head over his head. I'm like, okay, this is probably when he walks the trail. So I didn't mind anything of it. I started taking selfies and I started walking. And then I hear from the back, it sounds like rocks crunching louder and louder. Then I'm like, what the heck is going on? I turn back and this guy has picked up his pace. He's like 50 feet behind me now. I'm like, okay, maybe this guy just walks faster than I do. So I scoot to the side so he can pass me. And then about a good like minute or two later, I look behind him. He's like 20 feet behind me now, but he's also shift lanes with me. I'm like, okay, maybe this guy just wants something to say to me. So I stopped in my tracks, I turned around and I looked at him, and he also stopped in his tracks. Threw his head down, hold over his head, and I said in a very friendly voice, "Sir, can I help you?" And then this time, he just slowly lifts up his head, and I see this guy's face for like the very first time for today. It just looked weirdly like something's wrong. He had these like pupils that was like dilated but also not focused. I see he's visibly shaking, his teeth are chattering, and he's got these like marks over his face that looks like that it's been in water for a really long time. He just said to me in a hushed tone, "Help me, I'm dying." And I'm like, part of me is thinking this is some sick joke. The other part of me is very unsettled by this guy's appearance. And he just said, "Help me, I'm dying." And then I'm like, okay, there's something clearly going wrong here. Maybe he needs help. Maybe I should help him. "Hello, I'm doing good tonight." So I dial the police. Like, I'm on the phone with the police with this guy. And I'm like, "Hello, my name is..." I'll just use Mike Steady as a reference for this video. "Hello, my name is Mike Steady. I'm at this street, at this national park. There's this guy here. He said he's dying. He needs help. Can you send a dispatcher this way?" So then I'm like, okay. I've called dispatcher. They're on their way. "Sir, can you just wait here?" And then he doesn't respond to me. He just puts his head back down and he just like this. And he turns and he starts walking away. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure I should stay with this guy until the dispatcher gets here. He might have something going on right now. I don't know, because he seems really strange. Hey, anyways, so I kept up with this guy, and it looks like he's picking up his speed each time I'm following him. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to get somewhere, and I'm just bothering him. So I keep like my distance, and then I see him stop right where he was before, staring at the river. I'm like, okay, maybe something else is going on here. So then I look in that, at this time, he stopped completely. So I took a good look at what he was looking at before in the river. And then I noticed that it's not a white form. It's not some piece of trash. It's this note that's been taped onto a rock. And it's in very like messy handwriting. But being a sloppy writer myself, I can obviously read it. And I quote word for word. "Hello, my name is..." I'll keep it for privacy reasons. "I don't have much time left. I don't know who's gonna find this note or who's gonna read this note, but just so you know, I love you guys." Family name, probably. "I'm sorry this has to happen. There's no second chance for what I did, and I cannot redeem my own pure sanity. This is a note. I love you all. May God help your souls. Signed, March 10th. And I'm like, hold on a minute. It's April 14th. If this note was signed March 10th, that's a whole month. But why haven't I not noticed this note until like just today? Because I've been walking this trail for quite a while before March 10th and after March 10th. And this is the first day I've seen this note. And by the way, it looked like it was in the water for a very long time. Because this note's ink was just like kind of washed a little bit away, but I can still make it out. And then I look at this note, and I look at this guy. At this point, this guy has just lost all sense of emotion. He's just like, like this, but in a very unsettling way. And I'm just like, hold on a minute. I'm starting to get a sense here. And I asked this guy this very, very, very crucial question. And I'm just gonna explain what happened afterwards. After I asked this question, this guy changed his expression. He looked at me, he smiled a bit, backed up, and then went back to the trail. And then I'm like, the dispatcher's still not here at this point. It's been like 2 or 3 minutes. And then I see this guy gave one last wave, then he faced the tree line and then started sprinting through the tree line, straight into the trees. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see where this guy goes. So I followed, and he's walking through like thorn bushes, whatever, trees. He's just going in a straight line. I'm having a hard time keeping up with this guy because I have to maneuver around all this stuff. And I see him stop right in front of the river. And then he turns to wave at me, takes a step back, and falls into the river. And I don't know what's going on. Honestly, at that point, I was not thinking anymore. I just went to the river and tried to help him out, but he's just gone. Like, it's almost like the moment he hit the water, he just died. Because I got him back onto shore and I looked at him. His face was pale. He was all blued. I tried to like perform CPR on this guy. He's not waking up, okay? The paramedics got here. They grabbed this guy. They rushed him to the hospital. And since I'm the only guy who know what happened, I was their prime witness to what happened to this guy. As soon as they got the autopsy done, they noticed it wasn't a murder. It was more of a suicide. But what the coroner told me after examining the body shook me to my core. He said, this guy that you've been interacting with the past few days, this guy's been done, dead. Sounds like March 11th or something. And I'm like, no, that's not possible. I saw this guy walking and I saw this guy communicating. I even said, help him. He even told me, help me, I'm dying. Like, what is this all about? He's like, that's impossible. I did an autopsy on this guy. He died from accidental drowning like a couple weeks ago, like March 11th or something. And then I mentioned to them about the suicide note. And then it all clicked to me what that suicide note about. Because this is the question I asked him. I asked him, sir, is this yours? Is the person on the paper your name? And that's when he took a sense that I was there, waved at me, and he said, yes. As it turns out, March 10th was the last time anybody saw this guy alive. And supposedly with his autopsy, he died on March 11th by drowning himself. But the story doesn't end there. This entire time, I was sure I saw this guy. And even my friends came and they say they saw this guy too. He looked alive and well and everything. Yes, this is for real. Now, I'm doing this because I realized something while telling the story. This whole entire time, besides that line he says, help me, I'm dying, I've never heard this guy say anything else. And here's one more bonus detail. I went back under the bridge, and there, in the river, I saw something that to this day I could not shake from my vision. And I always imagine, what would happen if I stayed there longer? Because after the day I learned that this guy apparently died like a month ago by accident drowning, I went back to retrieve the note because they wanted this for evidence that he killed himself. The note wasn't there anymore. It was replaced by a different kind of note that says, "Thank you, my name, for bringing the truth and helping me find peace." And I'm thinking, someone's gotta be messing with me. And then I had a little theory. I'm like, okay, what if this is all some elaborate hoax? I'm thinking maybe at the time that I fall him into the forest. Since he got to the river before me, I couldn't see what happened between then. I'm thinking maybe someone dressed up like him, that looked like him, had drowned him or something. And then he put his body in the trees, and this sick guy is leading me to find this quest on this guy. And before he did it, he propped the guy up on there, and then the guy was supposed to fall into the river that's already dead. Could that be a thing? So let me explain. Pretend you're me, and there's this killer that's on the loose. This killer is the guy I've been interacting with that looks like this guy. Alright, this killer has drowned this guy that's been dead since March 11th. And he's just stashing his body in the woods. Alright? And that they want to chase this guy to the forest because he got there before I did. Maybe he dragged the body out, propped it up against something, and then he just hid in the forest. And this guy, as soon as I got there, the guy, pulled something or something, and then the dead guy's body fell into the river, and then it got dragged off, and that's how this was dead. But then I realized there's one piece of evidence, there's one thing I witnessed that proves this to be impossible. Because if you realize, go watch this back if you haven't. The moment I said, I saw this guy, he visibly turned around, waved, and then fell back. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on here, but this is really weird. But it was that very incident that helped put closure to this guy's family of what happened to their son. Till this day, I still don't know for exactly what I saw was true and what exactly happened and who was the guy that eventually led me to make this discovery. You guys want a bonus story? This one's gonna be shorter. I'm talking about a scary experience. This is what I do on Scary Sundays. I either tell scary experiences, my friends' scary stories, or haunted experiences. Okay, bonus story. This one isn't really that creepy. It's just weird. Okay? So, let's fast forward from that timeline to 2023. This happened about 2 years ago. It was, I think it was around the March of June or July. At that time, I was at a summer camp, a training camp. At one of the nights, it was dark. I went outside to go get water because there was no water inside the place I was sleeping at. All the water was outside. So I grab this thing called the canteen. It's like a water bottle, but it's what the people in the desert, people in the army use because it's very concealing, so water doesn't evaporate and go everywhere. Anyways, I filled up my canteen. I was out there drinking the water, and then I hear this crunching sound. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been caught by a camp counselor. He's probably gonna scold me for being out so late, because we're all supposed to be in bed at this point. I was just thirsty. I wanted some water, and then I prepared in my hand saying, "Sorry, sir, I just wanted some water. I was thirsty." I turn around. No one's there. I'm like, okay, maybe the camp counselor didn't notice me and he was just doing his patrol. So I'm like, okay, it's best if I just, hurry back and no one will find me. So I walked up the stairs, and then I hear from behind me, and I hear a voice. "I know what you did. And I'm like, okay. Probably one of my guys praising me. I turn around, I'm about to say, haha, very funny. And I see there's no one there. I'm like, okay, this is getting kind of spooky. Let me just return. Maybe it'll be better. So I made back to the room. And then I went off to sleep, and there was just that. The next day I woke up, I heard a little bit of whispering and chatting, a little bit of gossip going on. And I asked some of my fellow friends, I'm like, what are you guys talking about? What is all this? He's like, apparently there was a guy that broke into the camp yesterday. And he apparently was like creeping people out. And I'm like, okay, what do you mean? So he's like, well, you know how we have like a water buffalo down there, is what we call the huge water tank? I'm like, yes. He's like, apparently he took a sip from there and then somehow just laid there. I'm like, you mean the one that's like down there? He's like, yeah, that's the one that's down there. And I'm like, okay. So then I realized I've been within like probably 5 feet of this guy and I did not notice. So they may be thinking, this is the guy that's been like pranking me. Maybe, I don't know. And then later on, I turned the news on and realized the guy I ran into was an escaped serial killer. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I legit could have died. And I wondered, we were all alone. Why didn't he kill me? But let's just say I'm pretty sure my guardian angel was watching out for me. But I know, if I were to die and this guy would choose to murder me, I would not be here telling these stories. So I could tell with 100% confidence, I am still alive. Well, probably as this live stream is going. Just a message to everyone, cherish the life that you have, because you might not know whenever it could go snap and you could just die or have a heart attack and just go like. But that's probably not going to happen for a very long time, so I think I'm safe to say tune in next week for another Scary Sunday, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.